I've got a great show for you guys today. I'm going to be sharing some of my best retargeting audiences and some great ad angles and ad copy to go with them. You're not going to want to miss this.
Welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast with Phil Graham. We help you master Facebook ads and give you an unfair advantage over your competition. Are you ready? Let's go.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast, episode 315. I'm Phil Graham. Today, we're talking about Facebook retargeting ads made simple. I'm going to be sharing my powerful strategy for retargeting on Facebook and Instagram because retargeting is one of the most important parts of your success when you run ads. It can make such a big difference. You need to not only get in front of your ideal audience, but stay in front of them consistently and change that message up consistently as well. But there's a lot of problems that get in the way for a lot of advertisers. There's glitches, there's tech, and there's not a large level of skill or strategy when it comes to retargeting. There's pixel glitches. This is common. You could run an ad, have your retargeting box checked, and sometimes the Facebook system unchecks it after you publish, and you don't even realize that the pixel is not being used. That's crazy, but it happens a lot. There's also technical things, whether your domain is verified or not, whether you've set up your aggregated events, and many other things that are technically focused. Those can trip you up. And then also a lot of big mistakes people make when it comes to retargeting revolve around audiences and the ad angles and the copy that they use in their retargeting ads that can cause them to lose money and have it not work. So I don't want that to be you. I'm going to share my powerful strategy today, and I cannot wait for you guys to check it out. So I wanted to share a quote of the week because it fits retargeting so perfectly. It's by Warren Buffett, and he said, "Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago." So in this example, I want you to think of planting a tree, kind of like running ads at the top of the funnel to a cold audience. Not everybody's just going to buy all at once, and you might be expecting shade immediately, but it takes a little bit of time, and that's okay. That's normal. That's where retargeting comes in, my friends. Now, getting shade from a tree is like having somebody buy from you in this analogy. Now, the good news for us is that ads are not trees, and so we don't have to wait 10 million years for the tree to grow. We can get back in front of people very quickly, easily, and consistently with retargeting ads, and it can blow your mind what it could do for you. So before we jump into my strategy, if you guys do want to get in touch with me, whether you're looking for some coaching one-on-one to learn ads and everything about marketing as it relates to ads, learn it the right way. Or maybe you're looking for someone to run your ads for you so you can do what you do best. For either one of those things, feel free to contact me by going to my website, philgrahamdigital.com, or you can DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital, and let's connect. All right, let's jump right into the content and talk about my powerful strategy for retargeting. So it revolves around 4 key retargeting audiences, along with many what I would call sub-audiences that are within those, but there's 4 main audiences for retargeting. A lot of people just do one retargeting audience and call it a day. But when there's enough budget and in the right situations, ideally, you're going to have multiple audiences for retargeting. So part of my strategy is to target the lowest hanging fruit as well as other audiences. So let's cover the different audiences that I use typically when we are retargeting. The first one I want to mention is something that does not get talked about very much at all, and that is unopened email retargeting. One of the best sources of current or future business are the people that are on your email list, whether they're your existing customers or they're your leads or both. if they're on your email list and you have more than one thing to sell, or you sell one thing more than once to people, that's a huge opportunity. So when you send an email, it's normal that you might only get open rates of 10 or 20%. That's pretty normal. But that means 80 to 90% of the people on your list are not seeing your email or not opening it. That's pretty significant. So imagine if instead of just losing out on that opportunity, you exported the people that didn't open the email. So let's say you got a 10%. Let's just run some numbers. Let's say you had a list of 10,000 people, okay? 10,000 leads on your email list. And you got an open rate of 10%, okay? That's 1,000 people. That means 9,000 out of 10,000 did not open your email. So what I like to do is I take the 9,000 that didn't open and I upload them. I export and get their emails from our email provider. I upload that audience to Facebook as a custom audience, and I pretty much send them the email as an ad. Now, I do change the formatting and stuff so it looks right. It doesn't just look like an email, but whatever the focus of that email was, they're going to see that as an ad. Now, sometimes that can change your open rate from 10% up to 40, 50, 60%, or even more. One time, I think we had it like 78%, which is just insane. And this is high potential because these are people that already are on your list. Now, obviously, we don't do this for every single email because that would be kind of crazy. But if you're focusing on something that's coming up, whether it's a product launch or a webinar or a special sale, or you're just making a push to get more sales, for those types of reasons, that is when I would be doing this. And maybe even just do it like once a month as well, because it can help you so much. So that's one audience. That's unopened email retargeting. Another audience is called our abandoned cart audience. It's kind of a no-brainer. So if you have an e-commerce shop, if somebody puts something in their cart and they don't finish their order, then of course you should get in front of them quickly with a retargeting ad, reminding them to finish their order, maybe even incenting them to do so. But to take that a little further, it's not just for e-commerce. There's also abandoned lead retargeting or abandoned call retargeting. So let's say you are sending people to a landing page for a download and they get to the page, but they don't give you their email address. I would consider that an abandoned lead because they were interested enough to click to find out more, but they didn't actually give you their email. Why not? Maybe they're just busy and it wasn't the right time. And if you get back in front of them, reminding them, hey, I've got this resource, don't forget to check it out, the chances of you having them do that go way up. So there's plenty of people that do abandoned carts, but not that many people do abandoned leads. Or let's say you have somebody that schedules a call, you're scheduling calls, and they don't show up for a call. That's a great way to get back in front of them with an abandoned call campaign. Another thing you can do, if you have a webinar that you're promoting, that's kind of like an abandoned lead. If they sign up for the webinar but don't attend, or they visit the webinar sign up page and they don't sign up, like all of these things could fit in to this category. So you see what I mean earlier when I said a bunch of sub audiences? It's not just like the main ones, but there's a bunch of little ones underneath that that would also work for ads, depending on the situation. But the key is with these audiences, you want to make sure that you think of all the different ways that you can retarget these people, because this is low-hanging fruit, my friends. You want to get back in front of them as much as possible. All right, so far we've covered two main audiences, our unopened email audience and then our abandoned cart, lead, call, etc. audiences. The third one I focus on is our current or previous customers, patients, clients, or leads, or all of the above. So anybody who is on that list, who's somebody that's done business with you or giving you their email address and become a lead, any of those people are another great audience that you should be retargeting to. Absolutely. Because again, that's low hanging fruit. They already know who you are enough to have either bought something from you or given you their email address. And that's really important. So I would definitely be creating a specific audience just for that group of people and sending them a retargeting ad fairly consistently. I wouldn't want to annoy them and do it all the time, but I would do it in some kind of a consistent manner. And the timing on that would really depend on the kind of business you have and what you're selling and price point and lots of other things. So it might be once a month, it might be once every 2 weeks, it could be more often or less. There's a lot of variables there. So you'll kind of have to like think about that. But think about it. How can you get back in front of your current or previous customers or leads? Because there's a good chance that your future business will come from them just as much as it will come from a cold audience. And that is really, really powerful. It can work wonders for you guys if you do it consistently, and especially when you combine it with your cold traffic ads at the top of the funnel as well. The fourth retargeting audience I recommend is what I call a broad, warm audience. Now, this one is easier because this is literally everyone who would even remotely be in a retargeting audience. So when we're building this in Facebook, we're grabbing everything. We choose everybody who's visited your website, people who follow your Facebook and Instagram page, people who engage with you, anybody who's watched a video of yours online, anybody who's clicked a link, any and all of the above. It can include your customers, clients, leads, everyone. So your entire warm audience, that's a great audience to target as well. And then last but not least, when it comes to audiences, then we'll talk about some of the ad angles for retargeting. The last audience I recommend is what I call segmented warm retargeting audiences. Now, this is one of my favorites besides like your current customers, because when you do segmented retargeting, it sets you apart from so many people because very few advertisers do this. So I've talked about this before because it's so powerful and so important. But what segmented retargeting means is that you're not just retargeting a broad range of people, but you're segmenting it to something very specific. So for example, you can retarget people that visited a specific page. What is on that page? Is it an order page? Is it a specific blog post about a certain topic? Is it a landing page for a certain product or service that you have? Whatever the case may be, if they visited a specific page, especially from an ad, but really from anywhere, they must have been interested enough to click the link to go there. And so they had some interest. That's a great audience. Also, micro content ads. That's what I call micro content when we're focused on a specific type of pain point or product or service that you have, especially if you have more than one. Instead of just retargeting everybody about everything, which we also do, we also retarget people about very specific things only a certain product or only part of your service. You might have 5 pain points that your product or service solves. That should be 5 different micro content retargeting ads, not just one. So that can be powerful. You can also retarget by certain videos people have watched. So whether you do ads or your page does videos organically, they can be very specific videos about a specific topic or pain point or specific product or service of yours. You can see who watched that specific video and then put an ad back in front of those same people. You can also retarget segmented by doing obviously your customers and leads like we talked about earlier. You can even do it by time spent, people who've spent the most time on your website in the last 15 days or 30 days. You can segment by product, service, by actions they took on your website or even actions they didn't take, not only on your website, but on Facebook as it relates to engaging with your ads. So I hope you guys see how powerful this is. These 6 audiences for retargeting are so amazing, and very few people do these. Most people do maybe one, if that. And really, you should be looking at all of these different options. And remember, there's a lot of sub audiences within these too. So you really could have a lot of cool things going. The last thing I want to talk about when it comes to retargeting is the ad angles and ad copy, because it's not just the audiences that you're retargeting, but what are you saying in your retargeting ads? There's some different things that I like, and I'm going to kind of run down the list of the things that we do most often that has worked really well for us. So one of the most common ones, which I shouldn't even have to mention, but I will anyway, is a sales ad where you're specifically selling something. You know, they visited the product page or the sales page, but they haven't bought yet. Or maybe you've got a special sale going on for the time of year that we're in. Maybe you have a summer sale going. We're not quite there yet, but it's not too far off. And that's the main reason for the ad. So of course, obviously that's a great ad angle for retargeting, but it doesn't always have to revolve around a sale or pricing. There's a lot of other important things you should be doing in your retargeting ads. Also, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but when it comes to retargeting, you do want to stay in front of your people, your audience, as much as possible consistently, but don't make the mistake of sending them the same thing over and over and over again, because that's probably just going to fail and annoy them like crazy. So you've got to change up the types of retargeting ad angles that you use, which is one reason why I like to use so many different ones. Sometimes we use a bunch of these all at once. Other times we might only do 1 or 2 at a time and then change them out after a few weeks. And how often you change them out is going to depend on the size of your retargeting audience and other factors. But just be careful, watch your frequency on that. So in addition to the sales ads that are obvious, some of the other retargeting ad angles I really like are, for example, using customer testimonials or case studies or user-generated content. Those can be great for retargeting. Another ad angle that I like is what I call the differentiator. So focusing on how you are different from the other choices that are out there, whether you're a product or service, whether you're local, whether you're digital, doesn't matter. Focus on your difference, whether that's focused on you as a brand or your product or service itself or both. And then remember, don't just focus on the difference itself, but how that difference benefits your customers and clients. That is an amazing retargeting ad. That's one of my favorites to do, yet hardly anybody does that when it comes to retargeting. It's crazy. So the differentiator is huge. Another great retargeting ad angle is pain point specific. So the pain points or problems that your product or service helps solve, you probably help solve a lot of different things. And so having individual pain points in one retargeting ad, focusing on one thing at a time, can be really powerful. And then that's easy to switch that out every couple of weeks with a new pain point. And then you still do a slight call to action with that too. So even though it's not focused on sales, it's focused on the pain point and getting back in front of them, you can still have the call to action in there for the sale. And that's powerful. Another great one is credibility. So running retargeting ads that demonstrate your credibility, and that helps your audience feel more comfortable doing business with you, because it's not just about what you sell or the service you provide. It's about who's selling it or who's providing it. And they need to feel like they trust you. They need to feel comfortable with you. So these credibility ads can help a lot. And how do you build credibility in an ad? Well, one way to do it is to not run crappy ads that are just spam. Run ads that educate them, that entertain them, that inspire them. And also, typically, the more often you get in front of them, as long as you can do it in a way that is interesting and not annoying, you're going to start getting credibility just by being in front of them more and more. They're going to feel like they start seeing you everywhere, but in a good way. And that can really help you. So credibility ads are really big, and you can still go for a sale in those types of ads. Another one I like is just a really brief, hey, don't forget kind of ad. Don't forget about our so-and-so product or our so-and-so service. It just gets it back to top of mind awareness, because when they first learned about it through an ad or some other means, they might have been really interested, but then life got busy and they might have forgot. And you getting back in front of them with just a slight little message there that's not annoying could tip the scales in your favor and help them jump on board and order or make the next move to do business with you. And that can be huge. And then also you can do a retargeting ad, of course, that ties everything together. You can talk about the pain points, talk about how your product or service solves it, and encourage them to take an action. You may or may not want a discount on there to help entice them. You may or may not have a sense of urgency. If you want to have like a deadline, you can do all of those things. But can you see how powerful this can be? All these different ad angles for retargeting, all these different audiences. This, my friend, is part of a strategy, not just randomly retargeting. When you use a strategy and you use one that's tested and works well for you, it could be so amazing. It certainly has for us. So I highly recommend you guys take some of this and put it into action. This has been so powerful and amazing for us, and I can't wait till you try it out as well. So my friends, episode 315 is in the books. Thank you so much for being here. Got a lot of cool stuff coming up. If you want to get in touch, philgrahamdigital.com is the website, or you can DM me on Instagram at philgrahamdigital, and I will talk to you on next week's episode. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to the Next Level Facebook Ads Podcast. Please remember to subscribe and share this with all your friends. For show notes, more tips, and to learn more about Phil, please visit philgrahamdigital.com/podcast.